starting to share it with her own network in Canada. How did you support that growing team before the market was even open?
That's great. Well, you know, it began with, again, telling the story. Again, I cannot overemphasize how this business is built. I think everybody thinks there's a secret sauce, okay? I mean, I really do. I think that people perceive it's gotta be something more. There's some magic. No, it's simply sharing a story, and the person who has need of what you're offering will be drawn to it. And well, I started immediately doing business opportunity meetings with them by phone. I used, in fact, this is what I love. I mean, we live in the digital age. If you're looking for virtual technology, I used Start Meeting. I had tried, in fact, Join Me, but it didn't work so well long distance into Canada, so I started Start Meeting. And what I did is I did the corporately approved business presentation slides, and I just simply shared the message week after week after week. And they were really plugged in. They were really hungry for this, and they wanted something more. So what I saw was week after week, new people were showing up because, you know, on the screen I can see how many were being added each week. So every week I started doing these business presentations with them. And once I saw new people were being added, then I actually started trainings that followed right after the call.
That's great. So they were coming back week after week, always with guests?
Well, you know what? I did see increased growth week after week. Now, there were some times I saw the same names on the screen, but there were always new names added weekly.
Okay. And so if they weren't getting guests to come to the call, were you still encouraging them to join?
Yeah, it goes back to the story. So, you know, we can all recall songs, you know, in our youth that we love. I mean, I can remember, you know, my high school graduation song, right? Because why? We heard the song repeatedly. Repetition is key. The more you hear the story, the more you're able to tell the story. So that was one of the reasons I encouraged my team to get on, regardless if they had guests or not, because I wanted them to then in turn be able to tell the story as they invited their friends to hear more.
So the more they heard it from you, the more their confidence built in being able to go out and share it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. That's great. Tell us a little bit about how you decided to divide your time between this pre-launch team in a market that's not even open yet, and your existing rather largish U.S. organization that you're leading.
That was really easy, honestly, because you know, what you're looking for is hungry people. And what do I mean by hungry? You're looking for people who are looking for something more in their life. Again, whether it's time freedom or financial freedom. And that's why asking key questions, and again, being a really good listener, making it all about them is really key. And I saw the team showing up week after week, adding numbers. So for me, deciding to where to divide my time wasn't hard. I mean, yes, you know, I have an amazing organization here in the U.S., all of you. But you know what? Many of you have your own sustaining organizations, meaning you have leadership within your organizations. So I looked at my personal team, and I always look to see for those who are hungry, those who are wanting, and really deserving of my time, because I only have so much of me to go around. And this team was absolutely on fire. As I was telling Oran when I first started building my business, as he was telling me he was cautiously optimistic, I said, Oran, I haven't found a diamond, I found a diamond mine. And it was true. It was somebody, Lori and Gary themselves, who were highly motivated. They had built successful businesses themselves, and they founded like-minded individuals who did the same. And it just perpetuated, and it built from there.
We talked a little bit about travel earlier. you're doing these weekly calls. How did you decide when it was the right time to get on a plane and go and see those people up in their big woods?
Well, you know what? It's so funny. Although I was in Winnipeg, and that was not far from the truth.
Winnipeg's pretty cold in the winter.
True. I wore my big bear coat. Well, you know what? So I determined that basically because they were showing up, again, week after week, and I could see the list of names on that webinar, and every single week they were adding. And so I absolutely felt it was worth my time and expense to travel. In fact, our very first meeting into Little Victoria, we had 137 people in the room. And so that's where you want to spend your time. You know, one of the things that you don't want to do is get on a plane without a team assembled. I'm going to be honest with you. Unless you are going to visit a best friend or a relative anyway, with, you know, no big expectations that you're going to go find your next RFX superstar, because it may or may not happen. I was telling Janine earlier that, you know, when I was young and foolish, really green in the business, when the business first launched, I traveled to Austin because I wanted to build a market right here. And so this was when there was no policies and procedures against Craigslist, and you know, Sarah and I were placing ads, and my niece and I were placing ads, and we flew to Austin, and we sat in a coffee shop waiting for people to show up. Not a good idea. You know, it was before I was making money, and I lost time. I lost money. You absolutely want to make sure that you don't have just a person who's launched, you know, in Australia or wherever we go. You want to make sure you see a team developing because of all the technology we have today. Because of all the digital tools that you have, you can build a business across the world. You know, through phone, through Skype, through the internet. It's just absolutely imperative that you make that decision based on activity and growth.
Okay, hit us with your very best tip on all of this.
Okay, wow. There's a lot of them, but I'm going to tell you this. Really, building a team is about relationship. That's all this business is. I actually like to call this business relationship marketing. People join you because they know you, they like you, and they trust you. And they really don't get to know you and like you until that trust starts forming. And one of the things that I felt was really key to my success in building this organization was the trust that was built over time. They knew they could depend on me. So even though it seems great for many of you to be in this room thinking, I want to build a global business, are you willing to invest your time and your financial resources to show up week after week after week, planting the seed, watering the seed, then to see it come to full harvest? And I mean, I'm telling you, now new leaders in Canada are developing. And you would think because Lori and Gary have made RFX, you know, my job is done, I can move on. But you know what? I'm still watering. I'm still watering and helping all those new leaders develop. Because Lori and Gary, even though they've been doing this business for a while, you know what? They're still newer leaders in the organization themselves. So I'm still mentoring them. So my takeaway tip is, are you willing to invest your resources? Are you willing to invest your time? Because it does just take that.
Right. So once you find someone who's worthy of that time, which is important for everybody, not just our top leaders, it's really about matching those efforts, right? And getting in there.
Perfect. Matching effort is always a key. You want to work with the willing, and honestly, a mentor said to me one time, and you want to love the rest. Everybody has a place in your business. Not everybody's going to be your next RFX superstar. You love people where they're at, and where you want to build is where you find the ones that are willing, and they show up with no excuses.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Chris.